Hello everybody, welcome back to Into a Gungeon with me, Flik, and hopefully you can tell by the absence of the bit bin obscuring where my weapons will be that this is a off-stream episode, which means it is another Inside Baseball episode. I have two topics I want to cover, but first of all, this episode is going to be dedicated to Nathan Fraser. Thank you for your extended support on Patreon last month. I greatly appreciate it, especially given the subject, or one of the subjects I want to talk about. So, this Inside Baseball episode is going to briefly be about DMCA claims on YouTube, because I'm now more knowledgeable about them than I was before, and what you can do if you have had any. The very first, or maybe the second Inside Baseball episode I did was on the subject of Content ID, and in that I did briefly kind of brush over DMCAs, because in general, if you're following the rules, DMCAs are not something you have to deal with, because if you're playing within the rules it should never come up. Sadly, times have changed, and thanks to a mentally ill musician that did work on numerous indie games, it's now been made very apparent that it's very, very easy to manipulate the DMCA system on YouTube, abuse it, and basically get away with it. Unfortunately, because it is a system which assumes guilt rather than innocence until proven otherwise. So I briefly want to go over what you could / should do if you've had to deal with the DMCA. I also shouldn't have picked up that key, that was dumb. It's a very fringe case that it's much more likely that if you're a content creator on YouTube, you'll have to deal with Content ID. Wait, did I pick up the key? I didn't, did I? No, I didn't. Oh, hey. My backup brain while I was talking did the right thing. Yeah, it's still much more likely that you'll only ever have to deal with Content ID, which I've covered. But I figured take a little bit of time today. Oh, it's been a while. Nice. It has been so long since I've had the Scrambler. Wow. I'm just like trying to think. In the last 10 runs? Nope. In the last 20? I honestly don't think so. Huh. So yeah, we'll briefly touch on DMCAs. The main subject I wanted to talk about is the new awareness YouTube has given content creators. So it's nothing to do with Twitch this time. It is purely the YouTube side. The transparency YouTube has added for content creators to know precisely which content they have, which is not monetizable, monetizable, or monetizable but not quote-unquote advertiser friendly, and why that is and what effect it will have and so on. But DMCA is first. Digital Millennium Copyright something, I keep forgetting what it's called. If you upload something which someone else owns the copyright to, like for instance a movie or a TV show, to YouTube, the company which makes the TV show, movie or whatever is entirely in the right to issue a takedown notice to you via the DMCA claim system that YouTube has, which adheres to the law. Isn't necessarily fair, but it adheres to what they have to do by law. And this is it's an offshoot of when Viacom sued Google for all the copywritten stuff they were kind of just letting slide by. In that kind of situation, if you are illegally uploading TV shows, movie clips, etc. to YouTube, the DMCA system is working as intended. You deserve the strike. 3 of those and you're out. That is what it exists for, primarily. What it can also be used for is personal copyright. For instance, say someone stole one of your videos, and your video was a vlog of yourself just talking about things. You are within your rights to not let them use that. It's a kind of a grey area if they take footage of you playing a game because you don't own the game. If you don't own the copyright of the game. So that's a grey area I don't want to get into. But what I'm saying is, the DMCA system, while primarily for companies, it does have a use for personal use as well. So, a situation might arise where someone wrongly decides they own copyright over something that you have used. For instance, maybe they're an insane musician who has had a falling out with a former employer and decided that they want the copyright of their music back, even though there's a contract which says they don't own anything they produced while working for the company. That does not stop them issuing DMCAs, because anyone can issue a DMCA on anything. The burden of proof, at least at the initial stage, is with the person being accused. So anyone can issue a DMCA. That's it, you're accused, you're assumed guilty. So let's say that happens to you, and let's say that you know for sure that you're not in the wrong. What can you do? Well, the important thing to remember about a DMCA is, although it isn't a fair system, although it does assume that you're guilty, that is the stance YouTube has to take to be safe. That doesn't mean you are guilty, and that doesn't mean you can't fight back. The problem, which is again also been revealed as a result of this situation with this indie dev and the former employee, is to fight a DMCA you have to provide YouTube with a lot of personal information. You have to provide your name, your registered address, and I don't mean your email address, although they do want that as well. I mean your abode, and a lot of other information. The reason they have that is because if you contest a DMCA, it isn't like contesting a content ID match. If you contest a DMCA, you are basically saying to the party accusing you that they have to sue you. If they want it to go any further, it's now out of YouTube's hands. They have to sue you if they want anything else to happen. That's what that stage means. So you're providing not just YouTube, but the person accusing you of stealing something they own the copyright to, with enough information so that if they want to, they can now take it to the court. And again, if you've been illegally uploading, say, a movie, that's fine. If you actually are dumb enough to fight against that, the company will take you to court and you will lose. The problem with that, when it's a mentally unstable individual manipulating the DMCA situation, is you're sending all your personal information to a nutjob who has issued death threats and the like, and YouTube is okay with that happening. It's a flaw in the system that I don't think, to be fair to them, they ever thought would happen. But it is unfortunate that you have to send your information if you want to fight a fake claim to the person who is accusing you, especially if they are definitely mentally ill. Now, if you are a professional YouTuber, you might, like me, have a PO box, which is a good thing to have, as it turns out, if you ever have to fight fraudulent claims against your content, because in the information you can provide to fight the claim, you can list the PO box as your registered address. So that is a way around it for sure. Obviously, I can tell you firsthand, PO boxes are bloody expensive, especially if you're... Did I get a golden shell casing? I must have done. Especially if you're in the UK. They're overly expensive. So that's not exactly a solution for everybody, let's put it that way. Not everybody can afford or wants a PO box. But that is a way around it if you get a fraudulent claim. It made me sad when I saw people who were affected by this particular situation basically saying, I don't want to give someone who's threatened to murder people my home address, my phone number, my email address, so I'm just going to take the strike from the DMCA. That hurts more than anything else. If you are in the right, legally speaking, you've got to fight. You have to. You can't let people like this get away with it. So if you get a fraudulent DMCA, I would say fight it. You will have to provide the information I just said, and the information will have to go to the accuser as well as YouTube. That's just something that has to happen. And what happens after that is, you get the DMCA, you say, no. Oh, so why am I using this gun? You say, nope, that is a false claim. They are not in the right to say that I have stolen something they own the copyright to. It goes back to them saying, hey, you made this accusation, they said you're wrong. Here's their information. Sue them. That is basically it. That's not literally it, but that is basically it. So what happens after that is the accuser would then organise the legal process against you. What will actually happen if it's a false claim is the person obviously has no leg to stand on, so what they'll do is let the DMCA time out. And it's important that if you get a DMCA, you fight it immediately. And I mean immediately, because if you get 3 of them stacked up without countering any of them, you lose your channel. So fight it instantly, and then it kind of gets stuck in purgatory for, I believe it was 13 days, although that sounds a bit odd to me. It was probably 2 weeks. A video will get stuck into this purgatory for however long. for the claimant to instigate the next stage of legal action. If they don't, the claim is automatically dropped, your monetization returns, your video returns to being viewable, the strike is gone from your channel as well. That's how that works. Additional problem though, with how DMCA works on YouTube, is after that claim has timed out, the claim can be reinstated again by the same person, even though they're just going to let it time out again. Now in the particular case of this nut job, thankfully YouTube stepped in and began manually checking every one of their claims because they were fraudulent. That's a fringe case. It's not always going to be that way. As with most things on YouTube, which we'll talk about more when we get to our second subject, it's all bloody automated. So the system as it is right now, if someone wanted to be utterly vindictive and potentially had something even slightly in the right, like let's say it is a case where you've covered an indie game, they worked on the indie game and they've now had a dispute where they think they own something. That is, granted that's a fringe case, but let's say that happened and you covered the game. They technically have a ground, like legs to stand on until it goes to court and the company proves they were work for hire, etc. So they could keep on claiming your content over and over, and in that kind of situation it does become where it's easier just to not bother and delete the content. Although the problem with DMCAs is those strikes stay on your account even if you delete the content, unlike Content ID, which vanish if you delete the video. I don't think YouTube is going to drastically change their DMCA system. It adheres to the law. They went to court to prove that it adheres to the law. So I don't think they're going to change it. I hope that if they were to change it, they simply make it that once a claim is timed out / failed, that person may no longer make the same claim again. That seems like an obvious change to me. Also, we got a curse shop. I can't get in there because I have no curse and I don't have enough shells. You need 100 shells or curse, so we'll see what happens. So, to summarise the first topic I wanted to talk about nice and quick. You get a DMCA, you are 99% sure you are in the right, they are wrong or they are fraudulent. Immediately fight it, give the details you have to, and then it'll time out, you'll get your video back. Sadly, the person who tried to do that to you will not be punished under the current system. If all this stuff happening forces a change, which would be fantastic, and it is going to court. I've been following the lawyer who is representing the indie dev, and it is a very interesting thing if you haven't looked into it. Their name is Leonard French, if you want to go hear a copyright lawyer's opinion on this subject. Although keep in mind he is obviously representing the company, so you could feasibly say he is biased. A little bit, because obviously he is representing his client, who is in the right in my opinion as well. But yeah, go check that out if you're at all interested in how this process works. But if this case is definitely going to court. Oh, there's curse. Okay. I'm not going to use it, but it's curse. That's what I wanted it for. We have tons of keys as well. Actually, let's just go to the curse shop now. Or do I wait for the other chest? Oh, I can go back. I can go back in if I want to, I think. So yeah, right now there's no way to stop someone claiming over and over, even if you win. But once this case goes to court, once there's a precedent set, that's when something might change at YouTube for the better. And it's rare that you get to say that. There's a lot of good stuff here. Not so much this. I'm very disappointed in what the key shop has. I want Potion of Gun Friendship, and I want Compressed Air Tank, and I want Potion of Lead Skin. Obviously I don't have enough room for all these things, so let's just see how many shells we can get by the end of the floor. So kind of to connect my two subjects, YouTuber, or YouTubers, they have the same channel, but I think it's two people. They are actually in the process of trying to sue Google for what has been dubbed adpocalypse. This isn't necessarily directly related to DMCAs, but it is related in the case of a court case involving YouTube, and if successful would force a change. Although in the DMCA case I don't think it would force a change, it would definitely encourage one though, and that's the best we can hope for as far as that messy situation goes. So this YouTube channel, it's suing Google for loss of revenue, loss of sponsorship, etc. during adpocalypse, which is what happened back in like the start of March this year, when a hit piece was run in some newspaper in America, pointing out that YouTube's automated monetization system was allowing adverts to be placed on racist, homophobic, pro-terrorist videos because they aren't vetted prior to ads being put on them. So, in order to save face, and because everybody overcorrects when even one person gets offended about something, from a company perspective, tons of advertisers pulled their ads from YouTube. Loss of revenue. Everybody was earning less. Google, every content creator. At best, I think people got like a 50% decrease in earnings. Most people got at least 70. I believe I was around about that number as well in terms of like how much my earnings went down by on YouTube side. Thankfully I have Twitch. I stopped to take a drink because apparently I've been talking non-stop, so my throat is starting to hurt like hell. Anyway, I don't personally think they have a leg to stand on here, to keep on reusing that expression, because YouTube is a private company, there's no guarantees of revenue, etc, etc. There'll be some clause where they can just get out of this. But the other reason I bring it up is because of something asserted in the claim. And again, the lawyer I mentioned, the copyright attorney, he went over the deposition, whatever the word is for the statement, the accusation that gets sent to the judge, for the judge to decide whether there is a court case to be answered. The YouTubers rather alleged that in the event of, or in the aftermath of the adpocalypse, YouTube implemented a hidden system for advertisers. Now, I don't know if this is true. It was the first I'd heard of it in the accusations. But apparently, as part of the way that Google chose to appease advertisers, it was to create a hidden rating system. And that rating system allowed advertisers to be very particular about what type of videos would display their advertisements. Now, again, I've never seen anything proving this. I'm not sure how they got this information. It's possible they potentially posed as advertisers just to see. I don't know. But apparently there's a hidden rating system now that advertisers get to see that we don't. That rates a video based on, I don't know, like maybe bad language, content, title, anything that could be considered mildly offensive, anything like that. It's hard to say, but either way, they asserted that as a thing. And YouTube's latest change kind of proves it, I think. So, in the aftermath of the adpocalypse, why not? Pardon me. Oh, thank you so much. Everyone was panicking. Advertisers were flooding away from YouTube, partly because they wanted to make sure that the internet didn't get angry at them, partly because I think they saw it as an opportunity to stick the boot in and try and assert some dominance over YouTube. But we'll talk about more of that later, potentially. There's two elder blanks on the same floor. So what they did to get advertisers back was put in assurances to advertisers that their content or their adverts wouldn't appear next to content that was questionable or offensive. So, what they did was, around about, I think the end of April, roughly, don't take that as the definite date, but I think it was around about the end of April, they began differentiating content rather than just between being monetized or not, and being monetized, not monetized, and not suitable for all advertisers. And what this meant was their little automated hidden system was checking your video, I assume checking both the video content, title, tags, description, everything SEO related essentially, and looking for kind of like key phrases, looking for warnings. And that would flag the video as not being advertiser friendly. And what that means is, while it's still monetized and while you will still get we're one shelf shy, we're going to kill the boss and then buy that. While you will still get some ads playing on your videos, usually ones that don't care about potentially like being on videos with swearing in it, let's say, you will not get most advertisements, so the videos in general will earn less. And I looked into this a little bit prior to this new system being in place. Or sorry, once the system was in place, but before we were allowed to see. And on videos where the video is marked for not being advertiser friendly, you're looking at least 50% less, roughly speaking. This is a rough estimate, it is not exact, do not take it as an exact number. I also forgot that the Scrambler is not good for this guy because of this attack right here. I'll finish my thought once he's dead. Bear with me. Near light. So yeah, I noticed that a video that isn't quote-unquote advertiser friendly, roughly 50% less revenue. Let's take that as a base number. Sometimes I think it might be more, sometimes I think it might be less. Adverts are exceptionally variable. They always have been on YouTube. I've mentioned this before in Inside Baseball episodes. It depends on the time of year. It depends on a whole bunch of different factors like that. So let's take that as a rough estimate. So that has been happening since around about April, roughly speaking. I wish I'd just a little bit more for that. I guess we'll take the... Oh, this is cursed as well though, isn't it? I think it is. You know, no, we're not going to do that. I'm a little gun shy on having lots of curse after that robot run we did on stream. So what is brand new to YouTube is that they have, in order to show a bit more transparency, which is fair play, they have made it so that a content creator is allowed to see which videos they have which are not advertiser friendly. This is rolling out slowly. It got announced at the end of July. I didn't get it until the first week of August. So if you are a content creator and you don't have it yet, just wait a little while and you'll get it soon. And you get to see which videos YouTube has decided are not advertiser friendly for unknown reasons. They aren't specific for the reasons, sadly, because again, it's automated. So on first sweep, only a single video of mine from 2017 got marked as not advertiser friendly. And it was a stream highlight of us playing Gang Beasts, and I assumed then that it was probably one where we were swearing because something like super surprising happened. I don't remember which one it was, but it was one from this year. And I was like, okay, you know what, if that had like an excessive swearing in it and it's like a 17-second long video, that's fine, I understand. Prior to that, there were some old playthroughs of Dead Island and things like that, which is an exceptionally violent game. So again, I kind of understood that, and I thought that was the end of it. And I was like, oh, that's not so bad. I like knowing these are mostly videos that aren't going to generate more revenue anyway, so it doesn't really affect me. That was until I saw that the bot does more than one pass of your channel. So I checked again the other day there, and most of my videos from this year are now marked. Not most of them, actually, that's an exaggeration. Just a lot more of them from this year are now marked. And I don't really see the rhyme or reason to it. For instance, a Gungeon run might be detected, or an Isaac run. Not all of them, just random ones. Now granted, I don't swear that often in my videos, and when I do, I would be surprised if it could be picked up every single time due to my accent. But that said, there doesn't seem to be a rhyme or reason to the videos being picked. Like, occasionally a Monster Hunter video gets picked. Occasionally an Overwatch video has been picked. Occasionally Isaac. Occasionally Gungeon. Occasionally a Let's Look At, and I'm very, very careful about never swearing in Let's Look At. So sometimes I might say hell or damn, I suppose. I don't consider that swearing personally. Maybe YouTube does. But I make sure I never, well, again, screw the monetization in this video. I make sure I never say fuck in my Let's Look Ats, because I consider those to be my attempt at professional first impressions of indie games or AAA games content. I make sure not to swear. I go out of my way not to. I would say I don't particularly say anything lewd that could be construed as lewd in those videos either. That killed itself by bouncing off of me. So when I saw, like, I think my Let's Look At of Kingsway has been detected as being not advertiser friendly, I questioned the reliability of the bot they're using. Let's put it that way. Now, YouTube does let you request a review of something you feel like is advertiser friendly that has been wrongly selected by their bot. You might think, well, that's great, isn't it? No, not if it's old content, because they have stipulated that a video has to have had 1,000 views in the last 28 days or a human will not check it. And then your response to that might be, well, if a video hasn't had 1,000 views in the past 28 days, what does it matter? Well, the reason it matters is because a video will get most of its views in the initial publishing of it. That is entirely true. However, if a video gets a certain view threshold, it will usually continue generating views potentially limitlessly. So, for instance, one of the videos that got marked as not being advertiser friendly was a random Overwatch highlight that I think has about 70,000 views, something like that. That has had its fair share of views, and to this day will still generate, let's say at least 100 views in a month. I don't know the precise number. I know it's not 1,000, but I know it's generating at least, let's say, 1 view a day still, even though it was posted last year, because it got to a certain view threshold at the time, and is thus well placed SEO wise. But that's no good to me, because it isn't generating the threshold to have it reviewed by a human. So even though I did a video that was successful, and should then also still be providing me with income for the foreseeable future, it's now getting less or none because it's been decided that it is not advertiser friendly. I have no means by which to make this be manually reviewed, so I'm stuck. And this is the flaw with YouTube. The flaw with YouTube is it has to automate everything. And it has to. It's not necessarily by choice. They have to. There's too many people using YouTube. They haven't got the funds, people, or whatever required to be able to do everything manually. So it's that horrible catch-22 that I've spoken about before in these videos, where the fact they have to automate to survive is the thing that will drive people away. And it isn't YouTube trying to deliberately screw people over. And I believe I've said this before in Inside Baseball episodes as well. It's not because I think YouTube is altruistic. It's because they want to earn money and we earn the money. So they don't want to piss us off. But this situation where we are stuck, I have successful old content which is now earning less per month, even though up for years it's been fine. Without dodge rolling. Without dodge rolling probably means we want to use something a bit spammy. Let's use the AK. And I'm not bringing this up as a subject, incidentally, to try and solicit Twitch subs or Patreon backers, etc. I'm bringing it up because if you're a content creator or if you have aspirations to be a professional content creator, these are things you have to know. And chance bullets, good RNG. I don't think I've never had these, so I don't know what it is. Sometimes fires bullets from other carried guns. Oh, that's interesting. So I might occasionally fire a shark then. That's an interesting passive. I've never seen it before. Must be new to the supply drop. So yeah, I'm bringing it up because these are things that you have to be aware of, and it's a horrible position to be put in. Because if you're looking at wanting to do content creation for a living, you have to sit yourself down and ask yourself, what kind of content was I wanting to create? Is this now viable? Knowing that potentially every single thing you make will be marked as not advertiser friendly, and thus you will suffer roughly a 50% loss in revenue that you could have had. Again, assuming you have an audience share or will one day have an audience share. It forces people into this really horrible position of self-censorship, where perhaps the right thing, quote-unquote, to do is censor yourself, make yourself neutral, make yourself unoffensive, dull, normal, bland, so that you can appeal to all the advertisers. But of course that's stupid as well, because if you do that, then no one's going to be interested in your content, because bland content is boring. So it's a catch-22 within a catch-22 where everybody loses, including the advertisers. I accidentally kind of got into this subject because I'm very passionate about it on an Isaac run, where I was trying very hard not to make it an Inside Baseball Isaac run, but I couldn't help myself. I have no intention of changing the way I do commentary, rather. It works for me, it works for the audience I have. Not all of them, but most of them, and I appreciate the people who... Oh hey, I have Table Dick Rage. Ha! Callback. Who stick around, not for short-form Overwatch highlights, but for stuff like this, where hopefully I can have an adult conversation with another adult. That's what I'm looking for in my content. That's the kind of stuff I watch, and I don't want that to disappear. And I worry that it will. Now granted, you might see less kind of like clickbait stuff, because that stuff, I imagine, wouldn't be advertiser friendly. If it's so-and-so gone sexual is the episode title, that's not going to fly anymore. That won't get monetized. Well, it will get monetized, but not as much. So, you know, that's a potential good thing to the changes, I suppose. But I worry that everything's just going to be so stale because everyone will worry about what they're doing and saying. Oh, like, oh, you can't make a joke that's mildly offensive, or the advertisers might not like it. Oh, you can't say fuck because advertisers won't like that. It's a horrible situation to be in. I know it's very cliche to mention 1984, but it's going in that direction and I don't like it. But if you're doing this for a living and you rely on this... Oh, hey, the electric gun just fired. If you're doing this for a living and you rely on this and say, hey, you just bought a house and you have a mortgage to worry about, then it's kind of scary that you might be losing a percentage of your revenue because you happen to say shit in a video. Now, this is all making some assumptions based on how effective Google's bot, Sentinel, the thing from the Matrix, is at detecting what is quote-unquote advertiser friendly. I don't know. I know for sure that it will scan the video title, it will scan the description, and scan the tags. It has to also scan the content somehow. Now, I don't know how smart it is. I would assume, relatively speaking, it's probably pretty smart at detecting, say, swearing, blood, violence, guns, maybe. I don't know. My assumption would be that it's fairly good at detecting those things. It has to be, otherwise it wouldn't function at all. So would that then mean that people are less likely to play violent video games of those who are in the gaming category? Maybe. And again, if you're thinking that I'm like criticizing YouTubers who are going forward going to change the way they do content, I'm not. I understand why they're doing it. The smart thing is for me to do it as well, is to not tell any dirty jokes now and then, not say anything that's even vaguely innuendo, not play violent games. Hell, you're not allowed to put kill in the title of a video or it gets flagged. I know that from covering Killing Floor 2, in case you're curious. I can't bring myself to do that because I am against censorship, and I feel like self-censorship is as bad as forced censorship. So I can't. But I do understand. Like, I guess I'm in a sort of cozy position where I have Twitch as well. If I was relying on just YouTube, I'd be crapping myself more than I am now, let's put it that way. So maybe I'm in a comfortable position where I get to stick to my morals. Maybe someone is equally as moralistic as I am, but they only have YouTube, and maybe it's not fair to criticize them for potentially changing their content to make sure that they are advertiser friendly. TM. It's a shitty situation. There goes monetization again. It's a crappy situation for everyone involved. Oh, I did summon a shark. It's not hitting anyone, but I did summon the shark. It's making ice everywhere because it's... Oh, there you go. And it is bad for YouTube. Again, I mentioned this in the Isaac episode that almost turned into Inside Baseball. I really wish YouTube had stuck to its guns. Because I think I mentioned in the Isaac episode, if YouTube tomorrow decided just to turn off, or sorry, if Google decided tomorrow to just turn off YouTube, that would not mean that everybody flocked back to TV, which is what advertisers want, because that's where they still have a lot of pull. They don't have any pull in the online side of things. I know that TV has like TiVo and stuff like that, but it's so much easier if you want to avoid adverts online. People wouldn't immediately flock back to TV. they'd go to Netflix, they'd go to other third-party things, they'd go to Twitch. And I think the advertisers thought in this situation, this is our chance to show YouTube who's boss. What the hell? Oh, that's enemy bullets! Oh, I'm gonna have to buy the heart. I just got hit by, like, the same egg part 3 times in a row because it didn't disappear. So as I was saying, yeah, I feel like they thought it was a chance to get YouTube under their heel, which is a terrible mistake to make. They think it means that in the long run they're going to be quids in, and I don't agree. So what I feel like YouTube should have done was, yes, make sure that homophobic, racist, pro-terrorist content on YouTube isn't monetizable, but not assume on behalf of advertisers that almost everything is offensive. Because the bottom line is, everything is offensive to someone. Because people will get offended at anything. Especially right now, because right now we treat everybody who's offended like a special snowflake, when we shouldn't. You can be offended about whatever you like. You can be offended by my flipping of this table right here. That is your right. You can be offended by whatever you please. The line is drawn when people assume that because they're offended, anyone needs to do anything. They don't. You can be offended by whatever you like, but that doesn't mean anyone has to care. And it shouldn't be that people have to care. Offense is just a word, it's noise. But advertisers are scared. Advertisers are scared of being considered negative. And a negative usually means like they've been offensive. Like I think I mentioned before, a dumb co-op ad where it accidentally was sexist. And it was accidental, it wasn't on purpose. They are worried about that happening. They worry that a single person who decides that they're going to make it a campaign to rally against them because of something they did would ruin them. And with the economy the way it is right now, you know what? They might. One person starting a crusade against a company might bury the company. Reputation, like from a reputation perspective, I mean. So they're right to be scared. It's just unfortunate that everything has to suffer. There are certain contingents of people who will not be happy until everything is bland. Just everything is utterly unoffensive. Everything is dull, boring, bland, plain. Until everything in the world is black and white. And that would be very boring. So I think that about covers it, and hey, we're on the floor where I usually run out of stuff to talk about this particular topic. It's not a fun topic, it's not a happy situation for anyone involved, including myself. But I refuse to change the way I commentate. It's who I am. I've never put on a persona when I do these videos, it's always just been me. So if I was to change the way I commentate now, then I would be pretending to be someone I'm not, and that's not what I started doing this for. This isn't some grandstand soapbox moment, though. A loss in revenue is not necessarily something... not necessarily life-changing if you have other sources of income. It's also not necessarily a hill to die on, let's put it that way. However, it is a subject that I am annoyed about, but it's a weird situation where it's annoying, but there's no particular one... there's no one entity or person really to point the finger at and say, I am angry because of you. It's the situation. It's like everyone involved in this situation is having a shitty time for one reason or another. There's no villain. There's no hero either, though. It's just everybody's stuck as a result of this desire to have nothing be offensive to anybody. And I honestly think that's the root cause. And this is just this is a symptom of a disease. Unfortunately. Is it likely to change for the better or worse? I would imagine not. YouTube needs advertiser revenue. They're bending the knee in order to keep advertisers happy. It's also worth pointing out, if you haven't got the thing on YouTube yet where it's showing you what videos you have that aren't advertiser friendly, Even though you haven't got the visibility yet, it's still already applying to your videos. It's been applying to them since the end of April, roughly speaking. It's just now they've added the ability that we get to see where we're losing money and where we're not. Although even if you did, if you were entirely willing to change your content to adhere to advertiser standards, there's no rhyme or reason to what they're picking. So, like, let's say I wasn't taking this stance. Let's say my stance was, I need YouTube revenue to live. I just bought a house, I have a mortgage. I'm going to have to, whether I like it or not, adhere to everything they want. How do I do that, though? How do I know what differentiates one Safe Isaac episode from one that isn't? Or one Gungeon? When there's no, like, detailed list of why something has happened. I don't know why one Gungeon episode might be okay and one isn't. I can guess, I can make assumptions, but I don't know. So even if I was willing to bend my knee, I couldn't do it effectively. So actually that's just another point of view that makes this whole situation shitty. Even if you wanted to give in to everything, you couldn't do it effectively. I guess trial and error. A trial and error would work if it was between games. Like, let's say every Gungeon episode was marked, then okay, it's got gun in the title. That's what it could be. Actually, now that I think about it, it has gun in the title. Isaac, you do play as a naked baby shooting fetuses, so I could understand why that isn't necessarily advertiser friendly, even though the graphics are not gory, let's say. So does that mean, like, if that happened to all those episodes, then I could say, well, if I want to make more money on YouTube, I can't cover these games anymore. Let's cover something that's safer. I don't know precisely what that would be. I don't know. Something bland. Hearthstone, and just don't swear, I guess. In that kind of situation, I guess you could tailor your content. But because it's seemingly random, that's not going to work here. Also, I'm not sure if a shark is the best bet for this, but whatever. Oh hey, also, this might finish the Frightful Challenge. I can't remember if I needed one more kill killer or two. I want to get this random bullet passive more often. It's really good. Oh, I pressed. Oh wait, yeah, I did press blank. I was about to say, oh wait, I had no blanks. I've got bloody 4 of them. Uh-oh. I couldn't steer my mouse when Demon Head kicked in. It just kept me firing forwards. Yeah, right. So as with most of these Inside Baseball episodes, I just had a topic I wanted to talk about. You can agree or disagree if you like. Hopefully I provided at least some kind of useful insight into what's going on with YouTube at the moment. I know a lot of people who only do YouTube are scared right now because they've been seeing a drop in revenue since March when the adpocalypse started, and it isn't going to get better now. Well, actually no, that's not true. It did get better a little bit. Once advertisers came back, the money went back up. Oh god, fired a shark and a death beam. But in general it's still going to be lower overall because some / all / maybe a few of your ongoing video series will not be friendly to advertisers for one reason or another. I would encourage people to go to Twitch if you're in the gaming space and get into live streaming. It's a little bit more pressure than doing YouTube because, hey, if you do a bad video you can just do another one. Or edit it. Doing it live is more stress-inducing, at least this is me personally speaking. It can also be more fun though, getting that live reaction. But the old advice I gave in a previous episode still stands. Don't put all your chickens in one basket. Eggs. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Or chickens. Don't put any chickens in a basket, in fact. Try and have more than one source of revenue. Patreon, Twitch. It depends on the type of content you do. Direct donation, sponsorship. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the YouTubers that are trying to sue YouTube. One of the reasons I think I mentioned that one of the reasons they gave was lost sponsorship, which is actually the only interesting angle I had. They're holding YouTube culpable because they had sponsorship deals in place which were hindered by the adpocalypse. So on... I got hit by something there, didn't I? I have no idea what hit me. So from that perspective, they might have a case. I'm keeping an eye on it, as I say. If you want to know more... Oh, hey. If you want to know more precisely about copyright, not necessarily just on YouTube, but copyright law in general, then the copyright attorney who makes the videos and is handling that particular DMCA case I talked about, it's called Leonard French. He has a YouTube channel. He does a stream, but I think he does a stream via YouTube. He has a website, obviously, because he's an actual lawyer. He was also looking for people who wanted to join the case, if you have been affected by that one in particular. So yeah, that's worth looking into. He's a very valuable source of insight into how copyright works. However, keep in mind, he is a lawyer, and he chooses his words very carefully. And also keep in mind that I am not a lawyer, and everything I've said here is opinion. Also, this has actually made things so much worse, because I'm sliding towards the dragon whenever I move now. That shark just went through him, what the hell? It's swimming into the lava. One last shark. I wonder if it can still fire bullets of guns which have no ammo left. Let's see if another shark comes out. Also, why are you not second form yet? You really should be. There you go. And I guess we'll use Demon Head for phase 2. Whoop. Whoop. Go. It's going to take like 2 cycles probably. No, that's 3 cycles. Unless another bullet kicks in, although I don't think another bullet of any type kicked in there. Probably because I only pressed left click once, and the passive needs you to press. I can barely talk now because I spoke too long. Needs you to press more than once. But whatever, we'll work with this. Ooh, I'm not so sure one more will do it actually. Making me work for that flawless, eh, dragon? Not that it matters, because I ain't going to bullet hell. I'm done talking about what I wanted to talk about. You're free to talk about anything I discuss in this baseball episode in the comments. Incidentally, all I ask is that you keep it civil, both with me and anyone who might disagree with whatever point it is that you're making. Yeah, and I may be against censorship, but I'm not pro just attacking somebody pointlessly on the internet. And that's all she wrote. So thank you again, especially those of you who go above and beyond. Especially at a time like this, be it on here or Twitch. Particularly to Nathan again. We'll take a look at our end screen just to see the stuff we got. Now, I don't think I finished the Frightful Challenge when I killed that kill pillar, right? So I think we still need one more. I better double check, because I was still blathering, so maybe I wasn't paying attention to the bottom of the screen. Yeah, I hope that passive shows up a few more times, because that is a fun passive. Also, if the Scrambler could turn up again more often, because I think it honestly has been over 20 runs since I've seen it. Also, if a Rainbow Chest wanted to turn up at some point in this run, you know, I've been playing Gungeon for almost 140 hours now. I still haven't seen one, and I've only seen one glitch chest. We can't go back to high noon yet, because it's not been high noon, so that'll do. Spoilers for what time of day I'm recording this at. I entered your Gungeon hard and fast, and got a win in under 50 minutes. Should have said got a climax. I was trying to make it sound as dirty as possible without actually being dirty, just to make sure that this video isn't safe for advertisers. Hey advertisers, go fuck yourself. Just a little bit. One more kill pillars. Alright, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and hope that it was insightful to those of you who are content creators or just are interested in what's going on YouTube right now. If you have any further questions about DMCA or the like, or content ID if you missed that, I'm happy to answer them. You can contact me, however, in the comments, on Twitter, etc. Keep it private if you want. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Ta-ta for now.